Gotta aim for the top like, hold up, yeah, I can never doubt myself, I know better. All of you critics be acting like you know better. Blowing the smoke, but I know when the dust settles that I'm in my element.
Here's a fact. If you ask yourself that question, does this feed my faith, my family, or my finances? And it doesn't. If you do that, I guarantee it'll guide your decisions.
No, I'm in my element, ooh, yeah, I'm in my element, ooh.
Welcome to the Hour Number Podcast, all things entrepreneurship, people who just take life and kick it square in the ass. I have some special guests in the studio with me today, Brian Teach and Mike Fox with Phorm. Thanks for coming on the show, guys. I mean, if you're not really familiar with the show, basically it's all things just entrepreneurship, people's business and business savvy and life motivation, and literally just like the expression says, people just take life and kick it in the ass. And these guys came up last night and we had the opportunity to have them Zoom to the entire company, all their franchises, but deal with my staff in person and sales techniques and just kind of the story of Phorm. And we'll kind of start out, I'll let you guys introduce yourselves and we'll go from there.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having us, Tim.
Absolutely.
Yeah, pleasure to be here, man.
Hopefully last night was valuable.
Oh, it was awesome. It was absolutely awesome, yeah.
My name is Brian Teach. I handle the wholesale accounts at Phorm. Kind of came into the supplement industry through the golf business. I was a meathead though before that, right? So been out of the meathead business for about 10 years. My daughter just turned 10 and kind of gave up bodybuilding. Did my last show when my wife at the time was pregnant with her. Yeah. So it became about living longer instead of dying sooner. And I was doing a lot of things as a bodybuilder that probably wasn't going to years on life. So, but came through Phorm, started out, virtually in the beginning as customer service and used to travel the world, trying to beat down Rexius nutrition store doors and get in those doors. And, here we are now 10 years later and trying to make it work.
Oh, absolutely.
My name is Mike Fox. Been with the company for about 7 years now. I started in our retail store, Supplement Superstores, and moved over to wholesale with Teach back in June. And it's been great. I got into working out. I was athletic, played every sport growing up. After sports, just kind of fell into the gym life and fell in love with that, and that's how I fell into Supplement Superstores. And didn't really know where it's going to take me, but here I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny, the Supplement Superstore, because it was I left the industry for like 6 or 7 years from the GNCs and Complete Nutrition, all that stuff, and I came back to it in 2010. And so we have two stores, 2010, 2011. Going into 2013, we opened a third location, which was our second location here in Omaha, the Maple Street. And you guys saw last night, and that's where you see that metallics kind of floor coating. Where I got the idea for that was that my business partner at the time was looking up pictures online. He goes, "This is S2 place. Look at this floor. It's freaking sick." I'm like, "Yeah, let's fucking do that." And that's pretty much why that floor looks the way it does. So
yeah, I wonder if that was probably the Fenton store. I bet, right? It was like an epoxy.
Is an epoxy kind of coating, and it just looked cooler and shit. And I was like, "Oh, we need to do that."
It was really cool
because my first two stores, I kind of had to go with whatever the landlord had there because I was broke, which was carpet squares. And I was like, in this one, I'm like, yeah. So we did that ourselves. It took us like 8 hours to grind the floor down, and after that, I'm like, you know what? Fuck that. It's way too much work. So,
nice.
But it looks cooler and shit. And I got my big Nebraska Go Huskers, and on the floor. Who's your college? You guys have college football? Do you guys got a team?
Mizzou Tigers.
I mean, I do enjoy watching college football. I wouldn't say that I have a team. I mean, how can you? It's hard to bet against Saban, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I do like Alabama.
They are fun to watch.
Football,
but no, not really like a diehard team.
Well, I got Nebraska. This is all we have.
Right.
There's no pro sports teams. We haven't been getting ever in basketball. Creighton basketball is okay, but it's Nebraska Cornhuskers. And that's it.
Sure.
Do or die. That's it. And we're still living off our glory days from the 90s. But, there's no place to go but up. Right?
They were pretty glorious in the 90s.
They were incredible.
You remember the 90s, Mike?
I was growing up. I was a kid. I was watching them though.
So like you entered the supplement industry, 2010, 2011?
Yeah, about that time, right after, as a bodybuilder, I had been helping people with diets and, was involved with judging shows and, in the mix, right? So had come to meet Andy like through the stores, and actually at a bodybuilding show was where I first was introduced to him. So then came into the mix at that 2000. I think it was early 2012. So I'm rolling right on 10 years.
Yeah. That's it. And then you just came out of college and you were saying that the store seemed like a good fit.
Yeah. Came out of college, knew I didn't want, the typical office, sit at your desk job and, stare at a computer screen all day. Type at the corporate atmosphere, I guess you could call it. Right. And wanted to do something more. I was just driven and passionate about. And, fitness and working out was definitely one of those things. And, I just thought, hey, why not? Let's go see what it's all about. And, the more I, was working for the company and got to learn, everything we were all about. And, kind of when Andy was on the uprise and just fell into it. And, really developing relationships with the people in the stores is what got me to stick. And because I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. I mean, that's me too. It was just the customer service aspect. And I came in through 2009 after making a shit ton of money in the chemical industry and dealing with the government, which is enough to eat your soul. Then, I was young and stupid. I wasn't prepared I went from being like broke as shit. I mean, at 23, like as in I had no idea donating blood and plasma as often as possible. It just broke and didn't have any money to start my store so I went in the chemical industry and I just blew it up and I didn't know what the fuck to do with that. So by 2009, as anybody else who's not used to making money, I spent every last fucking dime I had. And then the 2009 housing crash happens. So now I'm 60,000 underneath my house. I'm 30,000 underneath the car because I was an on the road salesperson putting on 90,000 miles a year. I'm like, I need a new car every year. Fucking stupid. I go back and kick myself in the ass at 28. I would, and I was figuring, okay, well, I'm broke and miserable. I might as well be broke and happy. So I cut my salary by 80% and started my first shop. But it came back to the principle that that was the last time I was truly happy. I think was in college working at GNC at the time, even though it was a franchise owner. So I kind of had a lot of freedom and, I like to help people. That was it. The power of helping someone change their physique changes their mental aptitude as well.
Mm-hmm. Right.
People going through divorces or financial reversals or deaths or whatever, you name it. Done it myself. So I got into bodybuilding. In fact, the reason I got back into bodybuilding after years off of training was because I had no money when I first started Rexius. Well, I didn't have any money in Rexius for like 3 or 4 years. And so the only way I could market was to go to the gym. So I went to 3 different gyms a day, every single day for 3.5 years. And all of a sudden I got in pretty good fucking shape. And then I met my now wife and she was like way better looking than me. So I was like, I got to get in better shape, and that's kind of, she was competing at the time. She was my first female sponsored athlete actually.
That's awesome.
And I see how that worked out.
It worked out pretty good.
That makes sense.
And now she's stuck with me legally. And now it's kind of transitioned. It wasn't super healthy. Then we tried to have a baby. We kind of did the whole thing that, I want to be in better shape than I am now, obviously. But it's just not, especially the last couple of years in the bodybuilding industry, which I love. But I mean, seeing some of my heroes pass away, that people under the age of 50.
Oh yeah, it's been tough.
There's about 10 of them.
It has been,
and it's it's
wild.
I was decent friends with Matt Porter. We knew each other really well. That kind of hit me hard. Only at 37, and Big Dave was 38, 37. And John Meadows, the immortal John Meadows,
right,
like 48, 49, and a couple young kids. And I'm like, you know what, I had a lot of fun doing it. And if I don't see my abs again, like, fuck it. I don't really care. I'll just make my chest bigger. But
good philosophy.
It's kind of funny. So you came in about 2015, Mike, is that right?
Yep. 2015.
And that would be kind of interesting to see like how you're from the store aspect. I was going to ask you this too. I didn't bring it up yesterday, but back when Sal Frisella first started coming to see us was 2011, 2012. And we didn't really blow him off and realized I didn't have any money to buy any more brands at the time. And he was really fascinated with his business card, which was cool as shit. But, that was very unique then. Maybe you can touch on this and you can too, that, we didn't have a lot direct to store reps. Back in 2010, 2012, it was very rare. In fact, a lot of brands weren't allowed. They'd call us and try to pick up their shit, but they would just say, hey, go to Lone Star, go to Europa, buy our stuff there. They didn't want to deal with accounts.
Right.
So what First Phorm was trying to do then, I thought, was kind of game changing. And now in hindsight, being 12 years later, that it wasn't until about 2016, really 2015 to 2017, where all of a sudden distribution was kind of played out.
Right.
And a lot direct to company, direct to stores was kind of a thing. Can you touch on that? Like, did you kind of see that switch where you guys, I kind of feel like you guys were at the forefront of that shit before anybody else was.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, back in the day, right, it was hard to even deal with brands direct.
Yeah.
Like they would just always shuttle you straight to one of the distribution houses. And I think, the big switch for us was we wanted to have control of where the product was and going, because inside that mix, there was a ton of products that were being placed online. The internet, not that the internet was new, but buying on the internet was kind of had become a thing because Amazon had kind of made it safe, right, for people to purchase on the internet. And we understood that if it was in a distributor, that there would be zero control over where that product actually went. And when it goes there, how do you chase down how it got there, or who's doing it? There's no way to ever find out.
Yeah.
So it was really just a matter of being able to kind of reel it in, rein it in. At the time, the store at the time, even today, like the stores, like no matter what, we have to protect, the home base. Right. So if it would have ended up, we do whatever, couple $100,000 deal with the distributor and the product ends up all over the place. Well, hell, that's a problem.
Well, that's just it. I said I had the same, speech with my staff. We have our own brand too. I was like, that was the reason why it attracted me to your brand was because you're retailers too. So anyway, you'd be screwing me, you'd be screwing yourself.
Right.
That's kind of how we position ourselves too. And I think it's awesome, a testament to your guys' business philosophy and ethics that you stay direct to your own store. To your own wholesale accounts. I mean, it's we flirted with it lately too. Just distribution. It's more money up front. It's less people to work, but it's hard to stay true to what your principles are. But that's amazing that you've done that. I mean, have you noticed that in your stores? I mean, do you get when you were managing? Did you get contacted a lot by brands trying to get in, or what was the process?
Yeah, actually, a fair amount. People would find our phone number or shoot emails over to the store, whatever it may be, but we would get them all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And so that probably tells you ways that, I mean, now you're in the other side of the seat, probably told you like, okay, I like that guy. So I'm emulate that, but this guy was a douchebag, so I'm not going to do that. Did you kind of learn some of that, I guess, from being contacted? A
little bit. There were definitely one or two guys that I enjoyed talking with, and there were some others that were probably really just trying to get their foot into the door, trying to figure out a good way or the right person to talk to, right? So I don't know if I ever had any negative experience regarding that. Most of the time it was, me saying, hey, you got to email this, this email. So, and if they're interested, somebody will get a hold of you. But other than that, I didn't really have much control over that situation.
Yeah. We've had a few, I've been doing this long enough. There's a few assholes out there, but for the most part, I hate, I don't like the phone calls personally, but it's just, we're in a different position than a lot of ones. But I told my staff 100 times, like, you ever had a really great sales experience? They're like, well, yeah. I go, okay, emulate that shit. Right. If you enjoyed that and you're thinking about it right now, maybe it was 5 years ago, that left an impact on you. I'm like, it's your experiences are going to tell you how to sell it. That's how I always looked at it. And, we had a little story, went to Hollywood Video, or not Hollywood Video, it was, oh, good God. Marcus, what's that video? Family Video, right? You ever been to a family video?
Yeah.
All right. For all you younger people out there, this is where you actually go.
Got a Little Caesars connected to it, maybe?
Yeah.
Right.
Marco's Pizzas, Little Caesars. And so I walked in once and I had three of my kids, and I think I was a single dad at the time. And, you got the kids' movies for free. This is before everybody was streaming Netflix. There wasn't as much shit on Netflix back then. There were the streaming services, and, I didn't have cable, couldn't afford it. So we go in and I got to get at least one adult DVD or, not adult. Jesus Christ. No, I'm not talking porn. I'm at one regular price DVD.
Rated R.
Yeah. Not NC-17 shit. No, this is how I'm going to get picketed by, all the Karens. Fuck me. Okay. So I'm getting a regular new release movie that you would have seen. Let's just say, Will Smith was in it because that makes it PG-13. So I get that, and then the kids get 2 or 3 of their, they each get one. So all of a sudden they get up there, and there's this little 16-year-old, 60-pound kid just looks scared to death. And he's like, hey, sir, you got the magic number 4. You get half off another new release. I'm like, oh, fuck, okay, sweet. Grab another release. He goes, oh, my goodness, you hit number 5. You now get half off of popcorn. Okay. Oh my goodness, you hit number whatever. And I'm like, all of a sudden this turns into a $45 transaction, which should have been about $6. I walk out, and my oldest son at the time probably couldn't have been 8 years old, and he goes, sucker, you got sold. And you know what? I kind of sat back. I'm like, I tell him to go fuck himself. You know, and I'm like, whatever. I go, I did though. And the kid didn't do anything other than inform me the deals, follow the script. And I'm imagine if that kid had any pizzazz in him, well, I would have walked out with $150. That's right. I would have bought shares and fucking, Family Video or some shit in a stockholder. But, it's just those kind of experiences, I think, make an impact on people.
Sure. So, yeah. And I think, without the relationship, like you said earlier, I certainly don't consider myself any sort of salesman, and if it was just about sales, I don't know, this job for me would not be fun. But it's the relationships that make it fun, and watching or helping other business owners do better, right? Yeah. Insulate their business, help them grow, help them figure out, what's next, how to get bigger, how to get better. That's really what has attracted me to this side of the business.
Well, and I really think that the 2020, COVID really changed the aspect and outlook of where people are at, and from the retailer aspect and the wholesale both. And
sure,
I met you through one of the Jack Tatone shows. There's your 5 seconds of fame, Jack Tatone.
Yep.
NPC
You're welcome,
Midwest.
Jack.
And here you go, Jack. We're gonna snippet this and send it to him. And 3 easy payments to $39.95, my friend.
Love you, but like Ann way better, right?
But and we met at a show, and you had your daughter with you, and I think I had some of my kid. I think our baby was just a real baby at that point. And, it's a good conversation, and then I was like, okay, like at the point where I was kind of stuck in my ways, kind of like the brands that I liked, looking at it from financial aspects, ones that, but we kind of looked at it, and then you get through COVID, and then you're like, okay, like we've survived, but let's partner.
Still standing.
We're still standing, but here's the thing, we want to partner with brands that have the similar ethics that we do, similar morals that are really going to watch our back. Because you and I talked about this last night. A lot of brands that I thought we had a good foothold with, that the kind of brands that have done the co-op T-shirts and shit with whatever, and who've been there in the past, they just screwed us the second that thing went down in about April of 2020. Direct to consumer online, buy one get 75% online, marketing directly to my. There were literally ads like skip the store and buy online, doing targeted ads in my area, which just infuriated the shit out of me. And, I think it was because of just the relationship kind of conversation you and I had at a show. I was like, you know what? I think we had to do business with First Phorm. We messaged back and forth, God knows how many damn times. But,
right.
And it's amazing that, the brand is flying off our shelves at this point. We just, you gotta love JD, because every time he's like, hey, you need to add on these SKUs. I'm like, I'm sure Brian's gonna like this. Okay, let's go do the math. But, I think that's a testament. You weren't trying to sell me.
Yeah, it was funny. We were Mike and I actually were in Jersey at the time, visiting another store out there, Jersey Shore Supplements. Brian's a great buddy of mine too. And I looked down and saw the phone call, and I'm like, "Oh shit, I got to get this."
I remember
Tim might be right. He might be ready to pull the trigger.
Yeah,
we might be in. And sure enough, here we are. And that was almost a year ago.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and it's just
been going well.
Your frequency just increases. And, but you find a brand you want to partner with, and I guess I'm a little more boisterous when I'm in the stores, just because who I am, and they're like, well, why should I pick this brand? I go, because this brand doesn't fuck small business. That one does. And I'll be real honest about it. Like, okay, solid. And they just grab this shit.
Right.
That's all I have to say, because they know I know what I'm talking about. Because I've been very, very loud about supporting small business. Small business employs 48% of the population.
Sure.
And over half of those are employed by a business with less than 20 employees. People don't realize how many small businesses took it square in the ass, for lack of a better term, during 2020, 2021.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You can talk about the PPP loans and all that shit you want, but they didn't come close to what we lost.
Right.
Mask mandates, you name it, it all affected business. People just don't like to shop. Look at your top online businesses, they went through the fucking roof. Small business kind of took it in the short.
Sure did. Right.
And so partnering with a brand that didn't sell their morals out for money was huge. You didn't sell out to the the big buying warehouses or the big corporate GNCs of the world, like nothing wrong with doing business with some of the bigger brands, as long as you can hold them accountable. But we've seen that some of the biggest brands I've done business with in the past were the ones who were having their own fake Amazon accounts. And that's right when I got pissed off. So, you guys have built one massive warehouse. It kind of seems like that you went from like really well known to holy shit huge, and it seemed like a matter of only about 3 to 5 years. And now you have this big monstrosity of a warehouse, and you're out of space already.
Yeah,
we are. Sure are.
How big is it?
188,000 square feet, I think.
Kind of beats my 3,000 square foot warehouse I'm rocking right now that I'm out of space on. That's and how many employees does First Phorm have now?
Man, we got to be creeping up in the like 300s.
That's what I was going to say, 300-400. Yeah,
that's nuts. I mean, and back when you first started, like how many people do you have?
There were three or four of us.
Yeah. Well, that's quite
no joke.
That's awesome, though. I mean, that's and then like how many supplement superstores are there?
Including franchises, at right around 30.
That's nuts. That's about where we're about 32. And
yeah.
It's, but I always say any brand who made it through this last year, especially in the retail forefront, I mean, they're solid.
Yep.
I think in some ways, COVID was a great leveling equalizer. It took a lot of people who were trying to buy the business by having the more expensive rent in the malls, which are dead now, in my opinion. Shopping malls, thank God, because they're such
but
I think it was a great levelizer. All the people who were faking it or just barely getting by kind of ended it. So the ones who made it through, I think, are strong as shit. A lot of the brands who made it through and didn't do the online crap, are stronger than ever, because I think you guys have leapfrogged. I don't think you just survived COVID. I think you guys leapfrogged. I mean, I'm seeing your shit in more and more areas than I've ever seen before.
Yeah,
so.
It's definitely, it's been growing. It's, I've had a lot of guys that, and looking at another guy to the team, it's just on the wholesale side. So it's moving quickly.
Yeah. So where do you guys see, the next 5 years? Like, where do you think First Phorm just keeps growing? I mean, we have any major goals you guys are setting?
Yeah, I think, it's always moving towards that omnipresence and figuring out, I think the struggle is figuring out how to do that and still protect the brick and mortar.
Yeah.
So we slowly working through that. We use the snack category. Excuse me, COVID.
I'm still demonetizing YouTube now. All right.
We use the snack category kind of as like the Super Bowl commercial, right? To get the name out there. And, people try our bars. They love their bars. And then, hopefully they're looking to see, well, what else do they do? And where else can I get it?
Yeah. And I guess we use the popcorn the same way as before for us.
Man, I had some of that last night. Poor Mike couldn't go to sleep because I was crunching.
He was crunching on that all night.
It was great.
Yeah.
Just one right after the other.
Batches in my kitchen later and 20 pounds of taste test weight. But that's just it. It's just a different market. And it's funny. I've been here for 12 years. I've spent, I can't tell you how much money on radio, TV, every fucking event there was. I'm huge into events, no matter what it is. We do the event live. I speak at middle schools, high schools, businesses, whatever.
That's awesome.
And when I go give a speech at a local high school and all of a sudden 25 kids have never heard of me, I'm like, motherfucker. He's so pissed. But I'm like, okay, opportunity. But, we started getting some of our just smaller snack items into grocery stores.
Right.
Because that's where mom purchases. You
Yeah.
know? It introduces
exactly right.
Rexius to the brand. So we set up tables at Hy-Vee food stores. And,
that's
and
awesome.
we're sampling it, rocking the gear
Yep.
and doing whatever it is. And I don't care if it's CrossFit. I don't care if it's a 5K run. Like, listen, I don't do cardio unless I'm getting fucking chased. But I'll go to a 5K run and hand out water. I'm the fattest person there. That's for damn sure. But, it doesn't matter what it is. It's a chance to meet people and kind of grow into the network. Snacks, I think, are we were just talking about that before the podcast, that, like at Quest Bar and One Bar, there's a lot of opportunity in healthy snacks and your bars are freaking amazing. The peanut butter lovers, that's
my jam too.
Well, nobody else wants. Everybody else is like, I don't know if they'll sell. I'm like, well, I already bought 6 cases because that shit's for me. So fuck the rest of you.
It's personal.
Then my 3-year-old likes them. He steals them from.
Yeah,
and
same.
Then, and then my middle schoolers and my high schoolers, I'm like, you guys got to take a snack with some fucking protein.
Yeah.
It's hard with kids to get them to eat anything with protein.
Yep.
Do pancakes have protein? I go, well, not the kind you fucking eat. But,
Right.
What about donuts? Not the ones you like. So it's challenging. So, as far as the wholesale industry itself, I know we've all seen a lot of issues with the supply and demand chain, and you guys have stayed pretty well on top of it and very communicative. Like, where do you guys personally see that going over the next year? Do you think it's starting to ease up? Think it's going to get worse before it gets better?
Well, I think I got to be optimistic here and hope that, I don't know that it's going to be Q1 or Q2 that it's going to get better, but I would hope that by the end of the year, it's kind of has straightened itself out, or that it's gotten to a point where maybe some of the line time and ingredients that we're going to other guys, it's just freed up.
Yeah.
You know, due to supply and demand. Mm-hmm. But at some point, like there can't be, you know, hundreds of ships in the harbor waiting to be unloaded, right? Like there comes to a point where that's got to end.
Well, you would think, and that's, you know, there's a certain point. Like we were, you know, a lot of you guys, we've talked about the creatine price. We talked about this last night. Yeah, it's honestly returning back to the 1990s.
It's
price
crazy,
level,
right? Who would have thought creatine could be that sexy again?
Well, you know, I mean, all of a sudden it's like everybody wants it because it's no longer available anywhere else, and it's one of those that, like I was telling these guys, that's what I was paying back in the 90s is the price now. Yep. When creatine was brand new on the market, it was way worse quality then too.
Oh, it was terrible.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
You had to put the dry scoop in the mouth. Like, see, dry scooping, you all didn't invent that shit. It's been around since 96. Yeah, you had to do that crap because and then they figured out if you mixed it with Kool-Aid powder, aka Celtec, you paid $100 for it. All of a sudden it worked better.
Grape juice, right? Grape juice.
That was it. Well, you know,
gotta have a carrier. Gotta have a carrier.
When I started working at GNC and I found out what Celtec actually cost, I was so pissed off. Yeah. You know, but it was the 1990s. Right. That was the I mean, something that's really
that original creatine, man. If you would shake the shit out of the water and it would just, I mean, in 3 seconds, it was all settled back down to the bottom. You literally had to be shaking as you were getting ready to take a drink.
Oh, that was it. I could be in my locker in high school and I'm sitting there doing the scoop and they're Chad and I went to high school together. So, and they all like knew I was the supplement guy. So I had all my shit in my fucking locker and they're like, what are you taking? Like, what's it, steroids? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get fucking huge. It's just creatine. Yeah. And we all kind of, you know, our school is an athletic school. I mean, I think we lost 3 games, Chad, 3 years total.
That's pretty good. That's really good.
I think except for, what was it, our freshman year?
No, freshman year doesn't count. We didn't play. We
lost every game.
Our freshman year. We won one.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
One, but it doesn't count.
That was like Stan.
Forget about that one.
It was Pierce. We beat Pierce.
Oh, that's right.
I didn't forget. But we didn't get to play. So sophomore, you know, state runner-up, and then we lost in the playoffs, and we went undefeated our senior year. Yeah. I think we even played in the second half of any game in our senior year for the most part. We won all the state, all boys, athletic high school of the year, all classes. So we won everything.
Incredible. Yeah, that's great.
All because of those supplements.
Well, that's why I got to join the GNC. I'm like, listen, I could hook you up.
Something to that.
Yeah. Well, listen, so I go to Wayne State, which is only 30 miles away, play football, do track. And so I'm still working at GNC the whole time. And this is the best part. It's just like people were buying from bodybuilding.com, but it wasn't quite a thing yet because everybody had shitty internet.
Yep.
And so everybody knew I was a supplement guy. I'm like, listen, hey, can I get you hooked up? I'm like, yeah, I'll get you that gold card discount, but it's a $5 delivery.
This is where Rexius Nutrition was born his locker in high school.
Pretty much, you know, high school into college, and all of a sudden I'm like, I can make some extra fucking money.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so my boss goes, I'll give you an extra $2 for every gold card you sign up. I'm like, all right.
$2 plus $5 for delivery.
So I signed up everyone for a gold card immediately. I'm like, listen, it's free. And I go, and you're getting a few because ticket was over $100. It was pretty much free, and you got 20% off. And so I had a little system, a Ponzi scheme going on where I had the whole baseball team, the soccer team, the volleyball team, the basketball team, the football team. I'm like, they call me. I'm like, hey, I'm there, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night. Call me up. I'll deliver it that night. And all of a sudden, I'm doing 10 orders a night. An extra $5 delivery fee, but don't worry, I get you an extra few bucks off and a free gold card. And so then the next time they call, well, I already have a gold card. I'm like, yeah, we're going to change your name. What's your middle initial? Okay, there's a new gold card. So I'm making $7 a delivery doing that. I'm fucking broke. So I'm making 70 extra bucks a night on top of my $6.75 an hour I was paid. But
that's awesome.
You know,
there you go.
That's right. Well, and that was it. So going into my last year of college, I was like, hey, you should, you know, turn this thing commission and we'll see what we can do. And the boss is like, well, I really don't want to work at all. So I kind of ran it along with who would be my future business partner, Shane, who was my first employee. And I go, just kind of let me do my thing. And if I don't do well, you can fire me. Well, we ended up breaking every record that store had in 60 days. We're doing, I think we did $600,000 or $700,000 in that tiny little GNC in 1 year.
Yeah.
Just in Norfolk, Nebraska, population of 20,000.
Right.
And after that, I was like, I need to go into this fucking business.
Yeah. Right.
Guess what I didn't have? Money. So, I was trying to buy into the GNCs at the time. Thank God it didn't work out. But I went out to Oceanside, California and tried to buy a shop and this didn't work and had to get a job. And that was pretty much it. But, you know, and that's why I would say to students and a lot of young entrepreneurs listen to this because we talk in a lot of high schools is whatever field you think you want to go into and you agree with this, go work it for a while. Go get an internship. Go work it in high school. Work it in college. Figure out if you fucking like it. I've seen way too many people go waste all this money on college. I do too. and then come out and go into a field. They realize, oh my God, I had a cousin go through hotel management. Oh, and then never worked in a hotel, hospitality. Right. Gets a job at a hotel and goes, this fucking sucks. I'm like, good thing you just wasted $100,000 on that education. And she like thinking about testing the waters first. But I mean,
for sure.
It's with you guys having kids, I'm sure like it's the same thing for us is trying to get our kids like go work in your field. Go see, like my daughter wanted to be a wedding planner, want to be a wedding planner.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, go plan a wedding. So she did, came back. These brides are, I go, oh yeah. Oh, yeah, there's a reason I call him Bridezilla.
Makes you think twice.
I don't want to do that shit. There ain't enough money. Okay, well now you know. Thank God you didn't waste 4-year education on that shit. You know?
Right.
But I think with kids, I mean, what's the average? Like, I guess most of your employees between First Phorm and the stores, what's the average age? Does it kind of really span or?
Definitely more diversified on the First Phorm side of things. I'd say you got definitely more of the younger crowd working the retail stores. Anywhere from 18, 19, 20 years old, right? That's primarily what it's made up of. And then, even the managers too. I mean, low 20s. Some of them are a little bit older, mid upper 20s. And then I'd say First Phorm's just kind of all across the board, anywhere from
18-year-olds, and then you have me as the old man, So
I only have one franchisee older than me, Josh, come Norfolk, Nebraska. And I was going to watch this. And he's got me by like 6 months, and I'll take that shit. But other than that, I am the old man. I have the most gray hair, which sucks. But I got Chad. But, Chad's got some gray hair. But, but he looks younger than me. He's got the better face.
Man, mine's starting to come in. I'm telling you. And my fiance is not shy of letting me know.
Well,
there's no doubt about that.
Like Chad told me, black don't crack. And, and I just get wrinkly as shit. So it's what it is. But it's kind of funny for me coming around full circle is that, that we did this and we started growing. And then I got to work with some of my best friends from childhood and some of my best friends from college, and it's half my franchisees. I have an employee that's worked for me for 12 years on Tuesdays and Wednesday nights at 120th and Center, who I knew since high school. I played football with in college, and then when I opened up, he was actually working at GNC part-time, but wanted to support a local business, so he was coming and buying his shit for me at full price. And so when they found out and fired him for it, literally, I'm like, work for me. That was like 3 months into opening. He's worked for me for 12 years. But
that's awesome.
It's cool. Fun. You get to work with your friends. You're not really working.
That was the cool thing about last night is like meeting the guys and, seeing how many of them, you have a long history with.
Oh, yeah.
And in order to build something great, you're going to have to love the guys that you're working next to. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
You can't. I mean, your circle has got to be tight enough that you can argue and still be friends.
Yep. That
you can fight passionately. And I sent, we went to Vegas last Friday and Saturday, and I sent a message, I think it was Thursday night. I'm like, so just to formally say, I apologize if I come off a little too passionate at times, but it's only because I want the best for everybody. And if I'm ever not doing my best, you are fully 100% allowed to get fully passionate on my ass right back.
Right.
Have a good team. Have a good night. High five, but good game, butt slap, and then I get back. Oh, well, I have no problem letting you know. Sounds good. Mm-hmm. But I need that shit, Right. I have to have the group around me. I think to really get yourself better, you have to push.
Yep.
You have to be pushed.
Definitely.
You can't be all comfort zones. I don't believe in complacency. You're either growing or you're shrinking. The problem is when you're shrinking, you usually don't find out about it until it's too late.
That's right.
Look at GNC, look at Complete. I mean, GNC was, I think, sold for $6 billion in 2003, 2004.
Yep.
Then sold again for $600 million 10 years later.
Right.
And now they're owned by another country. They're not even owned in the United States.
Yeah.
Which, that's just people rest back. This works. I mean, I always like the Red Box Blockbuster.
Yep.
Blockbuster. Red Box wanted $50 million to be sold to Blockbuster. Blockbuster laughed. 3 years later, Red Box buys Blockbuster for $50 million.
Yeah. Right.
It's just, it's constantly adapting. Well, I could say this, if anybody's watching, you guys haven't looked at First Phorm, look them up. Look at Andy Frisella, Sal Frisella, look at all these guys' social medias. And you guys have built and are still continuously building one of the strongest American-made companies anywhere. And the way you guys have just exponentially grown is phenomenal. And everyone in your team is that way. Even your guys in shipping. I mean, they follow me on Instagram. They send me pictures. Pallet's on its way. I'm like, you guys are all badasses. I love this shit, you know. And they work quick.
They're a good crew.
They're awesome.
They're an awesome crew.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be great to work around just a great company like that that's growing. And I just want to thank you guys so much for coming last night, working with our staff, and coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
and,
we're excited.
Absolutely, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
love being here.
Check out Rexius Nutrition Stores and First Phorm, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I'm in my element, ooh, yeah. I'm in my element, ooh, yeah. I'm in my element, I'm in my element.